Judge in Charlie Kirk's murder case allowed his widow, Erika, and his parents, Robert and Catherine. This week, we've heard from several law enforcement officers and analysts involved in the case against Tyler Robinson.
Erika Kirk came face-to-face with Tyler Robinson for the very first time on Monday, July 6, 2026. The widow of the conservative activist Charlie Kirk arrived at the 4th District Courthouse in Provo, Utah, for the opening day of a 5-day preliminary hearing. Seated in the front row of the courtroom gallery, she sat just a few yards from Robinson, the 23-year-old charged in the case, who kept his gaze forward throughout. It was a moment 10 long months in the making, and one of the most closely watched court appearances in the country. For Erika, who has become one of the most visible figures in American conservative politics since the loss of her husband, simply being in the same room as Robinson was an extraordinary and deeply personal ordeal. Tyler Robinson's preliminary hearing in July 2026 was not, despite what many assumed, the first hearing in the case. This is an important point that a lot of coverage gets wrong. In fact, the legal process had been unfolding for many months already, with the very first appearance taking place virtually back in September 2025, just days after the events at Utah Valley University. Robinson appeared in person in a Provo courtroom for the first time in December 2025, and numerous other hearings followed through the spring of 2026, dealing with motions, evidence, and courtroom procedure. What made July 2026 genuinely historic was different. It was the first time that Erika Kirk and her husband's parents were physically present in the same room as Robinson, sitting only a short distance away from him. Erika Kirk was not alone in that Provo courtroom, and the sight of the family united was one of the most striking images of the week. Throughout the hearing, she sat between her own mother and her mother-in-law, alongside Charlie Kirk's parents, Robert and Catherine Kirk. The family remained in the courtroom for nearly 30 hours in total across the 5 days, listening as prosecutors laid out their case. They were joined by around 24 friends, family members, and political allies, including Donald Trump Jr. and a United States Senator from Utah. The proceedings were visibly painful for everyone present, including Tyler Robinson's own family,
that
who
FBI
also
analyst
attended.
clarified that
In one quiet moment at the very end of the hearing, Erika and her mother-in-law were seen sharing a tearful embrace as the courtroom rose to its feet. Erika Kirk found parts of the hearing so overwhelming that she had to briefly step out of the courtroom. As prosecutors presented their evidence, some of the material shown and described was extremely distressing, and the judge permitted certain footage to be played on the attorney's monitors. During those
DNA on
moments,
those
Erika and
two
her
items
parents-in-law
came
quietly left
from
the
Tyler
room,
Robinson
unable to say
and
a
his
word.
roommate.
At one point, she exited as a former university police officer gave his account of what he witnessed on the day. Yet what stands out is that the family always returned, coming back to their seats on time each day, even as the evidence grew more specific and more difficult. Their brief absences were far outweighed by the many hours they chose to sit and listen. It was, by any measure, a remarkable act of endurance from a grieving family.
But I feel as if we need to. I want to be clear as to what the Kirk's family's position is on all of this. The Kirk family believes strongly that if the evidence is being admitted in this preliminary hearing, it should be made public for the world to see.
Erika Kirk took a bold and unusual step during the hearing, formally demanding that the evidence be shown openly in the courtroom. Frustrated that exhibits were being admitted in a way that those seated in the gallery could not actually see, she filed a request through her attorney, Jeffrey Neiman, on behalf of the family. Their argument was striking. They insisted that receiving evidence in a manner shielded from the people present is not real transparency, and warned that this secrecy would only allow speculation and conspiracy theories to spread further, breeding public distrust in the justice system. Her lawyer told the court plainly that the family believed the world should see everything being admitted. It was a powerful assertion from a widow who has consistently pushed for openness, insisting the family deserved to know exactly what happened to her husband. Prosecutors used the 5-day hearing to lay out the fullest picture yet of their case against Tyler Robinson. Their goal was specific: to convince the judge there was enough evidence for the case to proceed to a full trial. Over the week, the Utah County Attorney's Office presented campus surveillance footage, forensic and DNA analysis, alleged messages, and testimony from investigators. The most anticipated moment came when prosecutors played a recorded interview with Lance Twiggs, who was Robinson's roommate and romantic partner at the time. In it, Twiggs described Robinson expressing regret in the hours before he surrendered to police. The defense team pushed back hard throughout, questioning the quality of the forensic evidence, raising doubts about the collection process, and challenging the security arrangements at the event itself. They do not accept that the alleged messages amount to any confession. Tyler Robinson, the 23-year-old at the center of this case, has still not entered any plea, and it is essential to understand that he has not been convicted of anything. He faces 7 charges in total, the most serious being aggravated murder, which is a capital offense in Utah. Prosecutors have made clear they intend to seek the end-of-life penalty if he is ultimately convicted. However, under the American legal system, he remains innocent until proven guilty, and no trial has yet taken place. He will not formally be arraigned unless and until a judge decides the case should proceed. Throughout the hearing, Robinson appeared uneasy at times, taking deep breaths and adjusting his suit jacket, particularly during mentions of his former partner. His defense team, led by attorney Catherine Nestor, continues to contest the strength of the evidence being presented against him. Erika Kirk stunned the world months before this hearing with an act of extraordinary grace toward Tyler Robinson. Speaking at Charlie Kirk's memorial service in Arizona in September 2025, before a vast crowd, she addressed him directly. She said simply that she forgave him, explaining that she did so because it was what Christ did, and because it is what her husband would have done, adding that the answer to hate is not hate. The moment reverberated far beyond the political world, moving even many who disagreed with her husband's views. It remains one of the defining images of the entire story. Her presence in that Provo courtroom, sitting quietly, just yards from the man she had already publicly forgiven, gave those earlier words a weight that few who witnessed it will ever forget. Tyler Robinson's fate now rests on a crucial decision that will not arrive until September 2026. When the 5-day preliminary hearing concluded on Friday, July 10th, Judge Tony Graff did not issue any ruling. Instead, both the prosecution and the defense will submit written legal briefs over the summer before presenting their final oral arguments in court on September 16, 2026. Only then will the judge decide whether there is sufficient evidence for Robinson to stand trial. No trial date has been set, and the case remains very much active and unresolved. After the hearing ended, Charlie Kirk's family released a statement saying the proceedings had brought them some comfort and marked an important step forward in their pursuit of justice. For Erika Kirk, the long legal road ahead is only just beginning.
Right, earlier this month, Turning Point USA held its first Women's Leadership Summit since its founder, Charlie Kirk, was assassinated last September.
Erika Kirk has stepped into an enormous role in the months since losing her husband, taking the helm of the organization he built. Just over a week after the events of September 2025, the board of Turning Point USA unanimously elected her as its new chair and chief executive, saying the decision reflected what Charlie Kirk himself had wanted. It was a staggering responsibility for a grieving widow with 2 young children. Erika, who is 37 and holds degrees in political science and law, had already built her own career before this, including founding a faith-based clothing brand and hosting a podcast. Since taking over, she has become one of the most recognizable figures in American politics, accepting a posthumous honor for her husband at the White House and being recognized by the president before Congress. Days after the hearing, she was back on stage, speaking to young supporters.